Good evening, and today we're going to talk about globalization, especially in Eastern Europe. We have Maria talking about environmental policies, Betsy and Leslie talking about healthcare, especially focusing on AIDS, myself talking about terrorism, and Kristen talking about workers' rights. We now have Maria talking about environmental policy.
In this segment, we'll be talking about environmental policies in Eastern Europe, such countries as Ukraine, Russia, and Poland. Russia has signed pacts to protect the environment. For example, Russia has teamed up with the EU, also known as the European Union, to help harmonize environmental state standards and help Russian authorities to improve environmental legislation. In addition, the Ukraine also signed an agreement, which is Paris Environmental Agreement on Climate Change. This took place in 2015. A more recent pact was Poland that signed the Paris Agreement as well, but took place April 22nd, 2016, which was also on climate change to help protect the environment. Russia's primary sources of energy are natural resources. Some examples of natural resources that Russia uses are oil, natural gas, coal, and uranium ore. In addition, Russia may be moving to less harmful alternatives for the people. Some alternatives may be wind, biomass, geothermal, and solar, depending on the regions that are there. The Ukraine's primary source of energy is natural resources as well. The Ukraine is rich in natural resources like coal, iron ore, manganese, nickel, uranium, and others. Oil and natural gas are present, but there is not a lot because they were exhausted during the Soviet period. Poland's primary source of energy is coal. They are so reliable on this source a lot because they produce much more coal than the other regions in the Eastern Europe.
We now have Betsy and Leslie talking about healthcare, and they're going to focus on AIDS.
As you can see, Russia birth rate is 11.3 per thousand of the population, and then the death rate is 13.6 out of 1,000 population. In Russia, the healthcare is free and is available to all citizens. Employee gets paid around 2 to 3% of the wages to social tax. The small percent goes to healthcare fund. The hospital is bad condition, lack of hot water, staff don't wash their hands, and they have to buy their own drugs from doctor, and lack of medicine. In Russia, people are cured from curable diseases. The rates are higher than they were in the past. The blame is on poor medical care, overcrowded. Diabetes also increased rapidly in Russia. 4 million people have been diagnosed with diabetes because of a 12.5 billion to take care. So a lot of people die from it. In Ukrainian, heart disease is the leading cause of the death, 68%, followed by cancer. High mortality rate is due to locally healthcare increase in number of epidemics diseases, abuse of alcohol drug. As you can see, 850,000 are estimated to live with HIV and 24,000 were killed with AIDS. This happened by the government policy, or rather abandonment of sex education. To prevent this, they're trying to get programs to decrease the number of AIDS-related deaths. And a lot of people have been killed by AIDS or HIV. In Ukraine, 220,000 people live with HIV and 7,900 are AIDS-related deaths. More than 300,000 persons live with HIV and AIDS. You get it by injecting drugs and sexual transmission. They want to make a program to to take approach and include access to prevention program for key affected population.
In the Ukraine, the average life expectancy is at 69 years of age. Deaths will occur at approximately 1,507. The quality of life in Ukraine is decent. However, there is corruption in the society and the education system. Their economic crisis is very bad. 6% of the population is considered healthy. Lack of medical facilities is a cause of this. In Poland, personal security, education, and skills are above average. However, below average is health status, income, wealth, and social conditions. Life expectancy is 3 years under average. Levels of atmospheric PM is at 2.5, which causes lung damage and 55% voter turn. In the Ukraine, medical facilities are extremely regulated. There's a severe lack of medical facilities and medicines. Half the amount of training is required to be a medical assistant. In Poland, there's free emergency care, there's compulsory state-funded health care, insurance funds deduct 8.5% of gross salary, there's a national health fund, and some prescription medicine is subsidized. In Poland, approximately 270 people are dying from curable diseases. This because medical treatment is not being provided. In Poland, within the course of 10 years, the number of people.
And now, myself, I'm going to talk about terrorism in Eastern Europe. Today, there is a high threat of terrorism in Russia, whereas in Ukraine and Poland there really isn't. Russia is having conflict with the terrorist group ISIS. Recently, the members of ISIS have gone to Russia and caused multiple attacks, whereas today we see in that video, ISIS would claim responsibility for the subway explosion. Russian President Vladimir Putin has stated that he will look at all possible causes for terrorism and as well as common crime claimed by ISIS. Poland is not directly threatened by terrorism. Poland neighbors countries where terrorism is high, so they're on the lookout. They keep an eye out on who's leaving and who's entering Poland. Ukraine, on the other hand, since they border Russia, and Russia is having a high threat of terrorism right now, what the Ukrainians are doing is protecting their border. They send soldiers to protect the people and to see if people that are entering from Russia, to see if they're suspicious. Russia is in good terms with Assad, which is the president of Syria. This affects terrorism because a lot of rebels that are part of ISIS, they do not like Assad and his government. Russia has been supporting Syria since 1970, ever since Leonid Brezhnev was the president of the Soviet Union. Poland is affiliated with NATO, and what NATO is doing with the Syrian government is protecting their citizens from ISIS. This affects terrorism because the rebels can go to NATO allied countries and strike back. Ukraine isn't really affiliated with anything, but they do have a problem with the Russians. This affects terrorism because Russia took Crimea from the Ukrainians, so some Ukrainian rebels will attack Russian officials. As you can see in this video, it's Russian soldiers and Ukrainian soldiers having a standoff. The Russians claim that Crimea was theirs first, but the Ukrainians claim that Crimea is theirs, but it was taken from the Russians. So as you can see, they're both having a standoff and they both are fighting for Crimea. Russia, Ukraine, and Poland are all advanced with technology. More than 12 million Russian civilians own guns, 3 million Ukrainian civilians own guns, and 500,000 Polish civilians own guns. The Russians have to get their guns registered, which could also avoid terrorism. Russia has a military that is advanced, that they are protecting their citizens from terrorism. Ukrainians, they have a supermarket for guns where anyone could buy a rifle. Handguns are banned for everyone except for police and government officials. This affects terrorism because everyone can buy a gun and sell it on the black market. Many try to pass a bill to privatize guns but fail every year. The Polish gun control is not strict, but people can walk around with guns in public without a permit. This can affect terrorism because guns need to be registered to prevent terrorism in Poland. And finally, we have Kristen talking about workers' rights in Eastern Europe.
The unemployment rate in Russia is 5.4 in April 2017. The chart shows how since July 2016, Russia's unemployment rate was high, but then it started to decrease towards October 2016, but gradually increased in January 2017. The unemployment rate in Russia is 5.4, while in the US is 4.7, which is not an extreme difference but kind of close.
Feel a new life, I always knew life can be dangerous. I could say that I like a challenge, and you to me is painless. You don't know what pain is. How can I paint this picture when the colorblind is hanging with you? Fell on my face and I woke with a scar. Another mistake living deep in my heart. Wear it on top of my sleeve.
The protections that are provided to workers in Russia is that they provide a maternity grant, which is a one-time payment totaling 3 times the minimum wage in case of mothers who have worked less than 1 year. They also have extended child allowance of 45% of the minimum wage in case of children up to 18 months. They also have allowance to purchase a child's uniform to say if the child was in school. They also have many social welfare programs like social insurance and paid leave just in case of illness, pregnancy, childbirth, and childcare, as well as free health care.
I am a sinner who's probably gonna sin again. Lord, forgive me. Lord, forgive me.
The business between the U.S. and Russia is that over $1 billion have been invested into the U.S. businesses that have settled in Russia. Many companies made over 30,000 jobs that the citizens of Russia can work in. The trade agreement between Russia and the U.S. is that it will benefit U.S. businesses and workers in Russia by improving market access for U.S. exports of goods and services going out to other countries.
Yeah. We had the type of nights when morning comes too soon and nothing was the same. Watch me going out of the way when I should've went home. Only time of the day I get to spend on my own.
The unemployment rate is 9.9%. As you can see on the chart from January of 2014, the rate has been 9.4%, but increased at 11% in January 2015, but is still in that 10% range as of January 2017.
Last album had it booming, something vicious, you know. And you know I need you back in my life. Girl, you know you got that thing that I like. Girl, you got that thing for real. When I was on a mission to make it, who used to sleep on the floor but you when you lived in the basement? Who else got all the things you need at 4 a.m.?
The protections that are provided to workers in Ukraine is that they have free legal assistance, the choice to work at home so days, reduced or flexible hours, certain incentives such as a partial reimbursement of Social Security contributions that are available for companies that have employees who fall under certain categories, for example, single parents with young children, parents of children with disabilities, parents that have been released after active military service or alternate service, a person with 10 years or less of retirement age, and persons with disabilities.
Come through, girl, you deserve rounds. Why is it been so long? Why is it?
The business between the U.S. and Ukraine is that more than 200 companies set their business in Ukraine in order to expand their company worldwide. The benefit is that the companies get more money and Ukraine gets a better reputation. The trade agreement between the U.S. and Ukraine is that it enhances its economic opportunities to benefit both countries as well as steps to enhance the business environment in Ukraine.
Yeah. Let me take you on a day. We ain't gotta wait. Tell me if you gotta act.
The unemployment rate for Poland is 8.6 as of January 2017. As you can see from the chart, it dramatically decreased from being at 9.5 at April of 2016 to just going down at 8.2 in October 2016. Even though it's slightly increased, it's still at a good rate. The protections that are provided to workers in Russia is that they have unlimited social security benefits. They are provided a group life insurance, meaning depending on the size of their company, certain percentages of employees will be covered, and provides a group pension fund, meaning that each employee has their own individual account and will be paid. The U.S. does business with Poland by having the U.S. firms being in Poland. Domestic demand will increase by Polish buyers. Poland is the busiest part of Europe, meaning more consumers equal more money for the U.S. and Poland. The trade agreements that are between the U.S. and Poland is that the U.S. and Poland partner up on issues such as missile defense, human rights, economic growth, energy, and more. The trade agreement between Poland U.S. and it will benefit security assistance for Poland to meet NATO's obligation and to fund enhanced military.